Hi guys! So I have a follow-up video to the watercolor supply video I did last week. This week I'm going to talk about my watercolor paints and the palette and also some swatches that I made. So yeah, I'll get right into that. So here are all 28 colors that I use. My colors are lemon yellow, gamboge hue, I think that's how you say it, cadmium yellow hue, cadmium orange hue, cadmium red hue. This is my only professional color, and it's because they were out of this pigment in the Cotman series, and this was required color for a class I was taking at the time. If there was, I would have bought the cheaper version. But alizarin crimson hue, permanent rose, rose madder, purple lake, mauve, or mauve, I don't know, dioxazine purple, ultramarine, cerulean blue, turquoise, intense blue or phthalo blue, Prussian blue, phthalo green, viridian, hooker's green light, sap green, yellow ochre, raw umber, burnt sienna, Indian red, burnt umber, sepia, Payne's gray, and ivory black. So this is my palette. I can't recall what brand it is, but I picked it up at maryartist.com. It ran me maybe $6 to $7. Shipping wasn't really bad, so but I picked it specifically because it's a folding palette. It had a lot of paint wells. I believe there's 28 wells in this palette and 5 mixing trays. It also has a little thumb holder, so if you're painting outside, and it also has 5 little holes to put your paintbrushes in. So I picked that up, and then I filled out, at the time that I got the palette, I only had about 20 tubes of paint, so I figured out how I would lay them out, and also figured out which paints I would want to get to fill in the gaps, and then I filled in my palette. And then over the course of about 3 months, I picked up the other 8 tubes of paint that I wanted in order to complete my palette. So most of the tubes of paint that I had were left over from when I was taking watercolor classes at Mass Art, which was a few years ago, and I had a media techniques class that had some required colors, so a lot of the paints in here were from that. Most of like the cadmium red, lemon yellow, things like that were required colors. And then over the course of my time at school, I picked up another tube or two, either to replace what I had already used up or just because I wanted it. But I did so without any sort of plan in mind, which is why I have so many pinks. So when I had to fill in my palette, I just tried to take what I already had and make it a little more balanced. So as a result, my palette, I tried to kind of have everything even. I wanted like some nice yellows, some reds and pinks and purples, blues, greens, and earth tones. And I tried to make it so that I had some cool tones and warm tones of each group of color. And that worked a little better in some places than others, but I wanted to make sure I had a nice even variety so that I could do pretty much anything. And I wasn't entirely sure like if it would work until I started making the chart, but I think it turned out pretty well. As far as the ordering goes, within the palette, I didn't go with a Roy G. Biv order. I wound up going to the Winsor Newton Cotman product site by the manufacturer, and I just looked at what order they listed their colors in, and I just went with that because it was the easiest thing to remember, and their ordering system made sense. So that's what I used, and then I just went in and picked, and I also looked at that to figure out what colors I would want to fill it in. So as for the actual swatch itself, I actually made it like twice because I kept screwing up. I forgot to put in a square here or there or something, but I used my Strathmore watercolor paper because it's paper that I don't like to use for painting because of the ring binding. So I just cut that up and used that for the swatch and for the chart. And I just made sure that the swatch was the same size as the palette and that the squares matched up where all of the paint wells were. And I just did a little gradient in each one so that I could show what the color looked like saturated and what looked like watered down, and then I labeled it. with a very small Coolpix multi-liner so that I could get it in there. So I made that. And then for the actual chart itself, that one took a while. I had to figure out how big to make it, and you know, I have 28 tubes of paint, so I wound up with 784 squares, which took forever to fill in, and I had to figure out how big to make each column and row so that I could fit 28 by 28, so there was a lot of erasing near the beginning, but I managed to get it. And the entire thing is about 9 by 9 inches because I just used the short side of the Strathmore paper and then just cut it. And then I made a little chart inside, and I labeled all four sides of it. And then pretty much it was me just mixing the paint. I tried to do a 1-to-1 ratio every time, and then mixing in all the colors. And it took me 3 days to do it. So it was just me just kind of filling in squares off and on over the course of 3 days, while watching YouTube videos or talking on Skype with my friends, or, you know, playing Netflix or something. So it was kind of a process, and it wasn't something I had originally planned to do, but I thought it would look nice for my watercolor supply video. And halfway through making it, I realized that I had pretty much just made another video, so I decided just to do it. But I am very glad that I did, because as a result I have this really handy chart with a whole bunch of colors I didn't even know I could get. And this is just a 1-to-1 ratio too. I could get many more colors just by doing different ratios of mixing or watering down. And both my dad and my friends have mentioned that, you know, but I'm not making another chart because that took so long. I could easily make several with different mixing ratios and ratios of water to paint, but after 3 days, I'm done. I am done. So I'm going to use this chart as kind of a go-to thing, and it would give me an idea of how to get other colors by messing with what I already have. But no more charts. At least not until I start using new paints, which I don't think is going to happen for a while. So yeah, no more charts. But yeah, it was definitely worth doing, and despite, you know, how long it took me to do it, and I think it will ultimately help me with my paintings in the future, because now I know what I can do. And yeah, so I just want to add, at the time that I'm recording this voiceover, I have 84 subscribers, and I want to say thank you guys so much for following me and for leaving all the nice comments. It seriously has, like, brought me so much joy. And when I reach 100 subscribers on my channel, I plan on doing a little giveaway. So yeah, like I said, at the time of this recording, it's not up to 100 yet, so I don't really know where it's going to be on Saturday. But once it reaches 100, I will make a little giveaway video, so keep an eye out for that. And if you want any sort of updates or announcements, they usually go on my Twitter. Occasionally my Tumblr, but most of my announcements and updates are posted to my Twitter. So if you want to stay updated on, like, giveaway news or anything else like that, please go check that out. And also, just an FYI, the day this video goes up, I'm going to be at Boston Comic Con. Not tabling. I'm not quite to the point where I can have a table yet. I'd like to someday, but not quite. I'm just going to be visiting, but I'm going to be vlogging while I visit. So if you'd like to see what I got up to at Boston Comic Con, I encourage you to check out my vlog channel on Sunday, August 14th, because I will be posting my Boston Comic Con vlog that afternoon. So I'm pretty excited. Gillian Anderson's going to be there, and I am such an X-Files fan, so that's going to be amazing. I may not survive. We shall see. So yeah, I think I've rambled enough, but thank you guys so much for everything, and you know, keep an eye out for that giveaway. Once I hit 100, that'll be happening. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. You can see how great it is. It does kind of get a little stuck there, but if you can kind of see, like, how awesome that ink is, Like, this stuff is amazing. I love it so much. So, I use that. That we love. Hi, say hello. My little penguin. He's like, why?